This question was sent on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from Kyle Scharf. Would more smart fans look upon Hulk Hogan more fondly had he ever done at least one clean job for Randy Savage or Bret Hart?
Probably. And, this is one of the things where your average fan, and that's what Hogan was going for. He, envisioned himself, and to some extent he was a movie star and a mainstream celebrity and blah, blah, blah. So he doesn't really give a shit what, the average hardcore, diehard, whatever phrase you want to use, fan has to say about his record of doing jobs and putting people over. But I think that segment of the audience, yes, if there had just been that they could look back to say, well, he wasn't always greedy and about himself. But still, even then, for that segment of the population that has that viewpoint of Hogan, that it was always about him and he wouldn't put anybody over and et cetera, fuck, the Warrior took a bunch of that fucking heat off of Hogan, because at least Hogan could work and he would do business. He would show vulnerability, and he would certainly sell, because a lot of people overlook the fact that Hogan selling until he was done selling, he would for almost anything, even if it looked half-ass weak, because that was the way you build sympathy, and he wanted sympathy for his comeback. Because the more sympathy, the bigger the pop on the comeback. It was all still about him, but he would work within the parameters of the business. And Warrior was just no. So that takes some of the heat off of him right there, just because they were together in the same place at the same time. But yeah, if he'd have put a Savage over just to keep the program going or give more credibility to a guy at that level, or Piper. Of course, Piper was the same way on the other side, but he knew he was never going to. Piper would have done a job for Hogan if he knew he was ever going to get it back.
And he knew he couldn't trust Hogan.
And he knew he couldn't trust him to get it back.
He wouldn't have had a problem with Flair or Steamboat or any of those guys, but Hogan, he knew there was going to be an issue.
He never had a problem with, it was a different time period, but he'd done jobs for fucking Flair.
The Bret Hart thing is always interesting to me because there are always stories about what the future plans were. Hogan loses the title to Yokozuna, a flash from a camera, a fireball hits him in the face and he's out. The story was always that he refused to work with Bret. He didn't want to work with Bret. You were there right after that. Right after Hogan left is when you came in. Were guys talking about that?
Not really. I got to be honest. What was that? That was WrestleMania, so that would have been April, right?
No, well, he left King of the Ring, so that would have been.
Oh, that would have been. No, it was okay, kid. That was June. Yeah. I was in the end of July. No, most people were mentioning his name. I didn't go in there and the first thing is sit down and ask everybody, "Hey, how was Hogan?" I didn't bring him up, but no, it wasn't like, "Oh gosh, we miss Hulk," or "Boy, the story when Hulk did this," or whatever, or "Yeah, we're glad to get rid of Hulk." It wasn't anything. It just nobody was talking about him. It didn't come up. I didn't, eavesdrop on everybody's conversation, but I don't remember hearing anything other, one way or the other.
And Yokozuna's another one of these guys that there were rumors about in the mid-90s, late 90s, that Hulk Hogan wanted WCW to bring him in so he can get his win back. You remember hearing that?
I can believe that. Well, that's why they created the Renegade before they got the real Warrior. They created the Renegade so that, Hogan could kind of sort of beat the Warrior, and some people might think that. But no, we heard that. I've heard that about a couple of people. Always get the win back, or whatever. But Yoko wasn't going anywhere at that point in time. But then, then by the time that he got so big, he couldn't.